August 14th. Club Tropicana. Dad! Fluttershy shouted from her room. It's too early in the morning for this, hon, Posey said, trying not to fall asleep in her coffee. What did you do? In the kitchen, making omelets, Discord had the very look of innocence on his face, which of course meant that everyone knew he was guilty as hell. I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. Hon, Posey said simply, and that simple syllable contained the multitudes of every raised eyebrow, every house statement, and every angry glare. This was clearly a married woman who knew her husband all too well. Is it wrong of me to want to see more of the Discord and Fluttershy relationship in all this? And he knew it too. Okay, look. I just want to try to make up for not being there all those times, okay? It's not a contest, Dee, his wife reminded him. You're right, it's not, he said in a tone that sounded hurt. I just want to make it up to her, okay? I don't know what you did, but you'll want to explain it soon. At that point, Fluttershy came out of her room with her bags in tow, the look on her face somewhere between hurt, testy, and worry. Dad, I heard you had a very good reason for doing it, but could you please tell me why you canceled our plans to go to Modesto? Discord gave his daughter a bemused smile. Because it's nothing but farmland. Fluttershy crossed her arms. Except for the camping area and the cabin we took forever to find. He slided over to her and put a loving arm around her shoulders. Fluttershy, dear, don't you think I would have made sure my darling daughter and her stalwart friends had the time of their lives? Although the sleight of hand that would have made a magician, or a particular teenage one Fluttershy knew, jealous, he produced an ivory-colored folder with a gold embossing on it. You just might prefer this instead. Fluttershy took it and looked at it. Club Tropicana? Posey looked up slightly at that. The one in Harmony? I should have set them up at the one in Jamaica, but I didn't know the others had passports, he said with a shrug. Posey walked over to the coffee maker, a slight smile on her face. You old charmer, she said fondly to her husband. He winked earnest, though. As for Fluttershy, she opened the folder and looked at the documents within. Dad, this is one of the best resorts in the world. Exclusive luxury beachfront villas, complete with a private beach, golf course, and reservations desk service. So premier, in fact, the waiting list is a year in advance, and that's if you're a celebrity. The merely wealthy have to wait even longer. You've got 2 weeks to enjoy everything there. There, as well as the town of Harmony itself, and nearby Camarillo and Morro Bray. You'll love the place. You will, Posey said, moving to where her husband was. Your father took me there before you were married. It's a gorgeous place. The look of amusement across the teens, followed by the realization there was no way she could afford all this, much less her friends. You sure? He waved it off. Just put it on the card. In fact, you can pretty much put everything you'll need on that card. Heaven just knows American Express charges me a fortune for it anyway. She gasped and said again, Dad, are you sure? I am absolutely sure I want my daughter and her closest friends to be treated like royalty at a place known for it. Yeah, pretty sure. But it takes a year to get a reservation, Fluttershy asked. How did you manage? Oh, I called in a favor from a friend, he admitted. Besides, Madonna's on a world tour right now, so she doesn't have time to use it. Fortunately, Starlight Glimmer's on the same tour, so she pulls the strings for me. He then looked at his wife. Also, I'm going to be in Spain for the rest of the month because Starlight needs a guitarist, so I'll be guesting. Something happened? Yeah, her usual guitarist had a family emergency, so that was the price. Fine by me, Posey says. He held her coffee ready to drink precision. But if Madonna tries any of that Kabbalah shit on you, I'm going to kill her. Yeah, I think she dumped it, and is neo-Buddhist now, or whatever. Besides, that phase should be over by next year anyway, he said glibly. Meanwhile, Fluttershy put the folder in a bag and hugged her father. Thanks, Dad. I'm absolutely sure I thought you called to heaven! Rarity swooned. Ooh, a nice switch. Thank you! I'm very proud of myself. As planned, they all met at Sunset's house, with all packed and ready to go. Everyone was surprised by Fluttershy's statement until she told him it was her father's idea, to which nobody was surprised in the least. All that good? Applejack asked. Are you kidding? Pinkie gasped. It's only the creme de la creme resorts in California. It's totally awesome! A second later, Pinkie hit the Royal Caroline voice. The rest rubbed their ears for the brief sonic assault. How do you two know about it? First I asked. My family stayed there for a week as part of an article my mother was writing for the Conte Nos Traveler, Randy explained. It's one of the most wonderful places I've ever been. If I could have, I would have stayed there forever. How can I not? It's practically the only reason to go to Harmony, Pinky clarified. Harmony? Where's that? Rainbow asked. Doesn't sound familiar. Twilight looked up from her phone. A lot longer of a drive than to Modesto, she said. It's down by San Luis Obispo. Outside gave her a black stare, Twilight clarified. It's closer to LA than San Francisco. Seeing the look on her friend's face, Sunset spoke up. I could trade off with you, AJ. You don't have to do all the driving yourself. Thanks, Sonny, Blonde said gently. I was a bit worried about the drive as is, but practical to LA? No thanks. Well, we'll see it going since we got a long drive. Got shotgun, Rainbow announced. Nope, I don't think Sonny needs to play, because she's gonna need to see the road, Applejack said. What's your plan to drive? No thanks. Just got a copy of the Ancient Machines. Been waiting for that book forever! Isn't that the Tomb Raider and Uncharted crossover? Twilight asked. First part of a crossover franchise, Rainbow said back excitedly. Video game comes out next February, and the movie comes next summer. Now we're going to see who'll find the lost legacy of Dr. Indiana, Daring Do, or Golden Compass. I'm just astonished she's actually reading something, Verity joked. The others laughed. Man, it's not a day I'm spending. It's a 6-hour drive, Octavia added, picking up her bag. Time for us to go. I'll lock up, Twilight suggested. I'll grab your bag for you, sis, Sunset said. She grabbed hers. The others took theirs as well. However, once she reached for Twilight's, she felt a sharp sting on her hand. She looked up in surprise to see Twilight angrily having slapped her hand. They took her bag as she glared at her. Twilight! She said, hurt. Twilight didn't answer, instead pointing out the door. Sunset got the hint and walked. Pinky immediately joined her and said, It's okay, Sonny. Believe me. I understand more than anyone here how you feel. The former unicorn was comforted by that. Thanks, Pinky, she said, trying to fake a smile. Pinky put her arm around her friend. Come on, I want to get a comfy seat, since it's going to be a long ride. A second later, the only two left in the house were Twilight and Octavia. Thought was uncalled for, Twilight, Octavia said in a disappointing tone. What do you mean? I was just grabbing... You know what I mean, Twilight Sparkle, Octavia said, using the full name ultimatum. You just humiliated your own sister in front of all our friends, and now you've gone way too goddamn far. Frankly, I think I've had enough of your antics, and I think we all have. You're outright torturing Sonny now, and I'm not going to put up with that. Understand? Twilight reacted as he had been betrayed. What do you mean won't stand for that? Look at how she treated me. Octavia continued to glare. Yes, I have. And I've already told you what I think of it. I'm beginning to wonder if my parents should adopt her instead. At least that way you have a sister who gives a damn about her. What? That's not fair, Tavi, Twilight cried. Really? Just like ostracizing your sister for how many days now, Twilight? The fact that she's putting up with all this bullshit will be potter enough. Not the others said. The other teen threw her back down in frustration. For fuck's sake, grow up! Do you even realize how sick we are of this little game of yours? Do you really hate Sonny that much? You know the answer to that. Twilight looked both scandalized and angry at the same time. Funny, because we just had this talk 2 days ago, and yet here we are again. Octavia went face to face with her cousin, mere instants separating the two. Yes, Sonny's lying about something. I know that, and I want her to tell us, because she means the world to me. But I also want her to tell us in her own time. She's afraid right now. What can't you tell? Not really, Twilight and the younger girl admitted. Afraid of what? Why do you think that girl as smart and caring as her would run away as a 12-year-old and turn into a hot ass that's sort of being a gangbanger if she didn't have something to run from? Octavia snarled as the white light continued on Twilight's face. Nora shook her head in amusement. Everyone in this house realizes it except for you. Don't you think that something was really a problem? Sonny would have looked into it. Hell, even Katie doesn't think it's that big of a deal, and she's the fucking lawyer! You amaze me sometimes. And I don't mean it in a good way. How would you feel if she did this to you? Not waiting for an answer, the older teen picked up her bag. Look, whether she lied to us or not is not important. The fact that this is important is that your sister sees your sister, Twilight. She saved your life just a few months ago, and I'm not telling you to guilt trip you or anything, but you could have died, and she nearly died saving you. If you were gone, Sonny and I would have had to pick up the pieces. If you're not careful, someday you might not be there. Nothing more to say. Octavia headed towards the fan. As Octavia raised the fan, Pinky pulled her aside. Thanks, Taffy. For what? For reading the riot act. So you deserve it, Octavia grumbled. Besides, you weren't exactly holding dock the other day, you know. No, you're being kinder than I would have been, Pinky explained. Leaving glared at the oblivious, plum-haired girl as she locked the door to her home. Truth be told, Rainbow probably stopped me from being the shit out of Twilight right then and there. It was just south of Colton, a bit over an hour later, when the radio stations they were familiar with assaulted the static. Well, that's the last of that, Applejack said, turning out the radio. Anyone got any ideas to keep us busy while we get to our first stop? Can we find a station? I'm okay with any music, Fireside said. I could look one up, Octavia agreed. The two were bonding over their mutual love of music, and then even jammed once together, and impromptu performance for her friends. Seeing more and more saffron-haired girl was planning to change her life goals. The raven-haired Miss Chisholm was already more than comfortable with that. Nah, because we're going to argue about all day about who likes what music, Rarity said. We all have varying tastes in music, and while we appreciate some of the other's tastes, a long trip might just make things a little annoying. Look, I don't want to sit in a quiet fan all day, Rainbow declared. I'll die of boredom or something. Well, why don't we sing some campfire songs? Pinky suggested. That's not a bad idea. No, I'll go first, Pinky shouted in glee. Then Amelia started singing. Step 1, try not to be self-conscious. 2, sit your way onto your haunches. 3, give a leave into the air. And 4, just forget your parents are both dead. The fan suddenly fell silent as Pinky sank in. Meanwhile, oblivious to the stream of consciousness record scrap Pinky just called to continue. Chin up! You mean you're not a... Coffee raced over covered Pinky's mouth. Oh, I think we've heard enough, thanks. Where did you hear that awful song? Fireside asked. There's this one girl with hair like mine singing it repeatedly at the cheerleader camp I went during the spring break, Pinky explained. Funny enough, during one routine she had a muscle breakdown. We didn't see her again. I wonder why. Well, does anyone know another song? Applejack begged. I have another one, Pinky called out. Jerry new song. What? Did everyone else just ask. Without further ado, Pinky began. Sunny, sunny, sunny phone set. Sunny, sunny, sunny phone set. Sunny, sunny, sunny phone set. Sunny, sunny phone set. Fella phone say. Fireside face palmed. My father put you up to this, didn't he? In the front, Applejack and Sunset looked at each other with weariness. It'll be a long trip, the blonde mused. Apple, phone, jack. Apple, phone, jack. In response, Sunset started to look at her phone. Looking up a radio station of some kind, she groaned. At this point, I'm desperate to talk radio. The van pulled off Interstate 5, just before it split off into Interstate 505. Applejack navigated her way towards a diner seated on a lonely lot between the farm fields. Pulling into the parking lot, she maneuvered to a slot practically in the center of the near empty lake of asphalt. Finally, she got out of the vehicle, briefly stumbling before bending down to massage her legs. So, that's what legs feel like, she mumbled. Funny, I can't work my legs out for hours without a problem. Plenty long distance driving just kills them. I know the feeling. Sunset moved over to her and began making sure she couldn't be seen. Walked over and tapped Applejack's legs. There was a brief flicker of aqua-hued sparks, and a second later the latter stood up. It must bear. Thanks, Applejack said, the tone of appreciation in her voice clear. What are friends for? Sunset replied. Besides, we're driving. We deserve some perks, right? Both heard the fan's side gate open. A second later, the umble stumbled out. Thank God! Rainbow said, instantly sprinting around the van. I could practically hear the blood get in my legs solidify. No, that was just the blood in your head, Flashlight joked. Rarity looked around with a confused expression, asking, Appalachia, are you certain it's the place? In response, the blonde fisted out her phone, looking at some information before nodding. Oh, yeah, freeway split diner. Apparently, Miss Luna comes here now and then. She told my mom and Pop a mile to a mile. I guess if Miss Luna comes here, can't be all that bad. Apparently, you forget that Twilight and I have seen Luna outside of a school setting, Octavia reminded him. So we get in a tiny dip than you guys do. And yeah, this would be somewhere she go. Reddy said under her breath that vaguely sounded like profanity. As one, they all then looked at the facility in question. Seemingly built in the 50s from the looks of the gloomy architecture and the general feel of the location, seemed as was originally part of a restaurant chain that long vanished. As it was, the building wasn't best kept, while in desperate need of a paint job. Some fixes to the cracked and weathered signage, patching up the significant cracks in the lost asphalt, nuking the location from order until there was nothing left, and generally starting over. The only indication was still open, in fact, was a sign on the front door, itself also cracked and on the verge of falling apart. Some vague notion of movement in the restaurant from the fading windows. "I think I'm getting tetanus just for looking at that thing," Rainbow announced. "You know what that means?" Twilight teased. "Thank you, Professor Sarcasm. I really don't know what I was missing in my life until I came upon your dulcet words. Now shut the fuck up and let me continue leading my life. Thank you, burn in hell." "Honestly, guys, I agree with Rainbow," Rarity commented. "This place looks like if I'm gaining calories just from being in a central vicinity." "Look, it can't be that bad," Sunset said. "I'll be able to survive the day. Let's just go in, shall we?" She walked over the door and grabbed the handle. As soon as she could feel a concealed layer of grease upon the metal. It took every bit of her willpower not to freak out over that, instead giving a plastic smile as her friends walked through. Again, totally relate by seeing some of that. You guys should come over to my state. I can point out that there was a Shoney's that turned into a old diner. Quite an interesting experience. They didn't even hide the fact there was a Shoney's. As bad as the outside was, the inside, however, was clean, bright, and retained a public feel, though the interior had been updated. Given a few other cars in the parking lot, the regulars were seated at their usual tables, eating away whatever they had ordered. It was mesmerizing, in a sense. They stepped away from a small home to a small town in the middle of nowhere, and were now in the midst of a place they never expected to be. "Can I help you?" Someone behind them crushed. The girls turned to look at the new speaker. She stood there, squat, frumpy, and old, maybe in her 70s with the unyielding wrinkles on her wearing an indicator. Her hair was nearly grayed out by age, though some traces of the prismatic spectrum of her hair color still remained. She wore a chiffon blouse and a skirt, the chiseled tire waitresses everywhere. And though she added an off-white cashmere sweater, her mouth wasn't quite a smile, but instead stereotypical curls someone who had been a hard smoker was now paying for in her late years. Wine-colored eyes were as hard as gems, and as faded in brightness as her liver spotted dusky skin. Finally, she wore a mask that said, "Hi, I'm Spectral." Gah! Rainbow alerts back, as it filled with sudden terrible primal horror. The girls looked to Rainbow, then Spectral, then back again. "I seem to recognize your face," Butterside sang all town. "Haunting, familiar, can't quite place it." "That's just me, Flutters," Sunset told her. Fluttershy shrugged with a wry grin. "Sometimes I'm my father's daughter." Rarity, meanwhile, took hold of the conversation. "Yes, table fight, if you would." "Sure, give my sake," the old woman grunted. "I did not say it! Stop flirting with Leaffield! Get over here!" Yeah, don't bunch up your panties, you old raisin." A newer girl came, looking to be in her 20s, and could be best described as a suicide girl. She wore emo makeup, the same outfit as Spectral, and had a half-shot head. The rest of her were part on the side, including strands of violet and magenta. She had several tattoos, including an ankh around her left eye, bringing out the purple color of her eyes that much more so. Her badge said, "Hi, I'm Nightset Flicker." Now it's Tyler's turn to glance. She sided over to Rainbow and said, "You know we're friends, right?" "Yeah, I'll protect us from the pod people," Rainbow promised. The ape finally stumbled out of the restaurant, feeling violently ill. "I've never eaten that much grease in my life," Rarity moaned. Holding her stomach, Applejack nodded. "I'm inclined to agree. I figured this was trigger food, but good thing I ain't driving the next leg." She tossed the keys to Sunset. Unexpectedly, to Twilight and Tevia was unharmed. "Do I want to know?" "I'll cast the angelic spell slowly," Sunset whispered. "How are you two not affected?" Octavia accused her cousin, and Pinky, who was walking out with one of the restaurant's signature pies. "Oh, I'm not really affected by anything," Pinky replied. "Listen, when you live in a cafe, you get to deal with some occasional bad runs of food, complete with, well, bad runs." "Me?" Sunset replied, just like her to draw. No, I was biologically related to you, Timmy replied. Maybe I survived the sunning if I died before we get to where we're going. Okay.
Don't worry, you'll make it, Fluttershy assured her. I, on the other hand, will not.
Bunch of prissy Madonnas to love ya, Rainbow groaned. Looking as though he was going to vomit. Last one of the group, however, did. Twilight took 2 steps before running to the grass and vomiting violently. She managed to get it all over herself on the ground, making a mess of things. Sunset looked at her sister, driving him on the grass, then at the others. She tossed the keys to Pinkie. Pinkie, mind driving the next leg? I'll do the last one.
Pinkie immediately understood. No problem. Come on, girls. Let's get in the van. We'll wait for you, Sunset.
Wordlessly, the others followed into the van while Sunset went toward Twilight. Once Sunset reasonably sure no one could see her, she summoned a ball of water and handed it to Twilight. Here. While thinking, Twilight immediately took, then spit out some, washing her mouth before she drank the water gratefully. Then turned looked at her savior and glared. Oh, it's you, she said in a soft voice. Well, you're talking to me now, I guess, Sunset said. Progress, I suppose. She didn't offer her hand. Twilight slipped it away. Don't need your help. You're getting it anyway. You might hate me right now. I don't entirely know why, but I'm still your sister and we're still family. Besides, you're not going to walk around with vomit on your shirt, are you? No, Twilight slightly begrudged. Unless you're planning to go topless, then you're coming with me, okay? The look on Sunset's face was one of worry and bit of sorrow. Please? Sunset offered her hand once more. This time Twilight took it. Fine, just this once. For my parents' sake. I'll take what I can get right now, Sunset said sadly, accepting the token gesture as the most she could out of her reluctant sibling, as Pinkie pulled up in the van. About 30 minutes later, whether due to overloaded food or the day, everyone in the van was asleep, except for Pinkie and Sunset, who was riding shotgun. Pinkie peeked in the back via rearview mirror.
Sunny, you mind?
Pinkie wiggled her fingers on her right hand for emphasis. Why?
Because I want to talk in private.
Okay, sure then. Sunset snapped her fingers. A celestial field recovered the others. They should be asleep until we get to the location. Or if I wake them up first, she said. What's up?
Just want to know how you feel about us. I mean, you and me,
Pinkie said. Pinkie, I told you it wasn't a problem, okay? Sunset insisted. We're still friends, and we always will be.
Are you sure? I mean, you say that, but you probably freaked out the other day when I kissed you.
Pinkie then hastily added, by the way, you are a hot kisser. That, or you really like playing up a lip gloss. I'm not sure how to respond to that, so I'll take it as a compliment, Sunset said.
You said. Just want to make sure I didn't offend you.
Pinkie, I promise I'm not offended in the slightest. Thought came over to her. Do you know what the male to female ratio is for humans?
Easy peasy lemon squeezy, Pinkie chirped. Dad, as a study done in 2010, the standardized population is 1 to 1.0.3, male to female to male. 1 to 1.03 colon 0.00061 if you add an intersex. If that number scales up to 0.00085, you count the transgender population along with the intersex. I think it's kind of demeaning to both, but I didn't author that study. Why?
And you found that out from? Sunset asked.
I use description to Sunset American, Scientific American. I know what everyone thinks of me as a bubble braid search junkie, but the only one smarter and skilled than me are you and Derpy, your grace that was sitting. Why?
Pinkie, I come from a world where that ratio is 1.7 to 1, and that's just for ponies. We have so many lesbian couples, mare lovers, and pony terminology, that nobody ever thinks otherwise. Hell, when I was growing up under the princess...
Your mother, you mean, Pinkie said. Don't think I even noticed that.
Sunset sighed. Can I fizz, please? Pinkie nodded. Sunset continued. When I was growing up under the princess's care, there was a guardsmare assigned to watch over me whenever I wasn't with the princess. Its scintillating seal was shining sweet. Caesar lived with two other guardsmares, Magic Blast and Fireblaze. There's no doubt that their relationship was. Not when I saw them kissing one another. It was no big deal, really. One time, Shinty took me to a cafe owned by her best friend, Apple Biscuit. I knew Biscuit wasn't a mare lover because she was there with her husband and family. They looked like a loving couple. That's the norm I grew up around. So you being bi isn't a big deal, Pinkie, honestly.
Good. For a moment, I thought you wouldn't want to put up with me anymore.
Oh, Pinkie, but we slept together, Sunset joked.
Sonny, please don't do that, Pinkie replied. You don't know how much I really want to.
Seriously?
Never mind. Anyway, what about you? When are you gonna tell them you already have a mother?
Pinky,
You can lie to yourself all you want, Sonny, she said, but you can't lie to the rest of us. We know you. We knew a long time ago about our counterparts, and we know that Princess Celestia is really your mother.
Sunset was silent for a long time. Pinky was worried about her for a second before the girl finally spoke. I love the family I have here. My parents, my brothers, my sister, my future sister-in-law, my aunt, uncle, and cousin. You were there the day I met her grandparents, and though they're odd, well, I don't think I'd trade that for anything else. I love having a natural family. People who I know love me and who I love back. Does that make me an evil person?
But your mother, your real mother, what about her?
She looked out the passenger window. I didn't have a princess with my mother, she said finally, saying the word that had been on her mind for the longest time. She's not my real mother either, by the way. That caught Pinky by surprise.
She's not?
Sunset shook her head. I don't even know what my mother's name or who she was. Last time I went to Equestria, I saw her in a dream vision. But even then, I don't know her name or much about her. I certainly don't know who my sire was. And in the end, it doesn't really matter. They may have been my dom and sire, but they sure as hell not my mother and father. I didn't really have a mother until the princess came along.
So she is your real mother then? As much as any adopted mother would be.
Sunset couldn't help but smirk. Like the woman adopting me in 2 weeks? Pinky didn't have an answer to that, so she pushed her original question.
Look, it's clear you love Princess Celestia. You used to get wishful about your homeworld, and now you've been back, you're more open about it. Except for this part. Why deny the woman or man that raised you?
I never would.
But you are, can't you see that?
Look, Pinky, for the longest time, the princess wasn't my mother because she didn't really know how to be one. She wanted to be, and made it clear she thinks of herself as my mother. And that if I stayed, she filled the role without reservation. Honestly, to me, she is my mother. She's the closest thing I have to a biological mother. I love her as much as she foaled me. But there were 4 of us foals, I guess you could say. The equestrian language doesn't really have a word like teenagers.
Adolescents?
You know, that word does exist, says at last. Anyway, Cadence and I were the same age, but we really didn't socialize. Either Cadence was too busy, or I was too bitchy, or she thought I tried to seduce Shining Armor just to mess with her. Sunset started. That thought's really creepy to me around, by the way. Blueblood.
Blueblood? Like the guy who went out to Tavi and Rares?
Pinky asked. Yeah. The Blueblood I know is harmless, for the most part. Still pompous, but at least harmless. Anyway, he and Twilight are nearly a decade younger, and they were raised mostly separate from us. Blueblood by his parents, and Twilight under a different caretaker team. Plus she had her parents, so the princess didn't know what to do with me. She tried her best, but we both regret it was heavy on the education, light on the parenting. Maybe it would have been different if I listened more and not just mommy issues.
Yes, but then I wouldn't fall in love with a wonderful friend,
Pinky said, giving Sunset a smile. Do you know why I don't call the mayor, whose for all intents and purposes my mother, mother? Because even though I wanted to, and still do, and even though she deserves it completely and totally, I feel like I betrayed my family here as if I did. As it is, I feel like I betrayed the princess because I chose to remain here on Earth instead of return. Sunset sighed. I left the family I had, because I didn't realize I had it. Instead I gained a family here, I would have one there. Now I have 2. And I feel like I don't deserve either.
Because you can't be honest?
Because I'm afraid to know what the answer is, Sunset said. You can see how Twilight's acting.
I know. I want to love you and your sister as one of my best friends. I'm going to put her through a wall if she doesn't straighten up. She's really pissing me off right now with what she's doing to you. And I tried to let her get away with it.
Because she's my little sister. Older siblings are supposed to look out for the younger ones, right? Even though you and Mom live whole states away, she still looks out for you, doesn't she?
Yes, but I never berated her and mostly abused her because we disagree on a subject. Look, I can understand Twilight being hurt because you found out you're lying to her. I can understand how holding a secret in hurts people in the long run. I'm not looking forward to telling my parents about me being bi.
I'm sure they'll understand, says the asserter.
No, what'll probably happen once my parents find out is my mom will disown me, Dad will defend me. They'll argue and scream and figure since I'm nearly an adult and don't live with them anyway, that'll be the last time I ever hear from my mother. I'll probably still talk to my kid's sisters about it, briefly, at least until Mom forces them to cut out ties. Probably the last until Dad puts his foot down, gets to the force. Now, I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. I hope I'm wrong about that. She is my mother, after all. Sad look came over Pinky's face again. But Goose Gun stuff, I'm prepared for that.
If you need support, I'd be happy to go with you, Pinky.
Thanks, but no. The girl I love around my mom? I don't even know what she'll do. What matter we're not a couple or even you're not gay. Contrary, still make it worse because I had no idea what goes on in her mind. God forever forget how it was raped. Still have to tell Auntie Cup and Uncle Carrot about that. Not looking forward to that conversation.
Sister patted her friend on the shoulder. If you need me for that, offer's still open.
Thanks, Sonny.
Pinky sighed warmly.
And you wonder why I fell in love with you.